We are all together here. Let's continue and finish with our colleague George Eltelli with the concluding remarks. George, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it's a bit messy now because we ended one session and we're starting our concluding session, concluding remarks, which I think will be not so long because we heard and listened to very interesting speeches today and yesterday and during all those days we spent together in Batumi. And as usual, and it's logical, and I think it's always happening at conferences like that, there will be a lot of words of thanks and appreciation because everybody deserves that. First of all, our parliamentarians, members of delegations, and we are very much thankful to you that you devoted a very precious time for these discussions in Batumi. You came over, it was not easy to take into consideration that it's a very turbulent time and we had in several countries elections, but I could be subjective, but it seems to me that conference was quite good and successful, and thank you for that. You did that. First of all, you did that. And it was very important that in light of current economic trends and current, sometimes an economic downturn, we recommit ourselves to work more hard to increase cooperation through a variety of measures. It could be the improved governance and corporate governance and public management, public services, to harmonize our regulations and also to eliminate barriers for businesses, for enterprises, to start business and for economic growth. That's really one of the main outcomes because you are the people who are doing that. Decisions are not dropping from the skies. And I can remind very famous words of President Franklin that economic laws are not made by nature, it's made by human beings, and we have this privilege and capacity to draw policies, to vote for right decisions, and first of all, I think economy is very important for current developments in many countries. Of course, there were a lot of talks about Georgia. And it was our desire to invite you to our country and to show a little bit our country and to convince you that Georgia is not an unrecognized flying object, as somebody said here. Yes, we'd like to fly, but we know direction, and I think you are a little bit convinced that it's a very well recognized object. So the reforms which have been conducted in this country and all of the speakers, I think we may be a little proud, talked about that because it wasn't easy to start many things from the scratch. And as we many times stated in our OSCE discussions, that sometimes it was at the gunpoint. So we should understand why it's so precious for us. And of course, we're happy to share all our experience with other countries and also to take examples from you. We've been inspired many times by reforms in Europe, in many European countries, but in this region, I think Georgia is a bit distinguished with some radical, advanced, sometimes maybe very painful, but very purposeful reforms. So I don't want to go into details and discuss maybe or highlight the variety of topics we disputed or discussed in Batumi. I'd like to say that, and I hope that many of the principles or ideas which you put forward during the disputes here, deliberations, will be reflected in future documents of OSCE. It will be in Monaco and maybe in other conferences. But I'd like to pay tribute and to extend our gratitude, the gratitude of our team, starting from President and ending with our team here, our staff, once again to all of you, but to particular people. And first of all, it's our President, Petros Eftimiou, and Spencer Oliver. So they knew about that. Because of that, they are in this row sitting together, because they deserve this very kind words from hosts, from us. Because when initially we started to discuss the idea of to organizing the conference in Batumi, that was quite a courageous initiative to bring all of you to Georgia to organize a charter flight and all this stuff. And those people, with Tina, with all the staff, with Odile, with Gustavo, Ricardo, I don't know, all of you. So thank you very much, because you've been so instrumental, so helpful. So I guess people should applaud to these people. And it's really, really great encouragement for my country, for Georgia, for Georgian parliamentarians. So we feel very happy. But again, when we're talking about the Georgian hospitality, and we are not talking, only about some good cuisine and good wine and good food and so on, but I think the economic growth and developments in this country, it's also became a part of hospitality, because we can receive you in much more comfortable conditions and atmosphere, of course, in this hotel. And I'd like also to thank the management of this hotel for very, very good assistance and effective assistance. And the point is that in a hospitality there are two sides. There are hosts and there are guests. So hosts never should be satisfied, and guests should be satisfied. I don't know your feelings, but I'd like to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for your appreciation, for your appraisal, for your very kind words coming to me and sharing your ideas, maybe, and your emotions. Maybe not everything is so fair. Sometimes it's a little bit exaggerated. Sometimes we also have this habit to please hosts, but I think in this case you were sincere and frank, and we're sincere and frank in our thanks. So thank you very much again, and hope to see you many times. Come to Georgia in October. We have elections, and Mr. João Soares appeared in the hall, so as our special envoy. So please, Georgia is open for you, and it's always will be interesting country for discussion about economy or culture, or maybe a friendship, which we value all together very strongly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. Dear colleagues, distinguished guests, before I begin, on behalf of the Assembly, I would like to take a moment to express our condolences to the families who lost loved ones in this weekend's flooding in Tbilisi. We all share your sorrow, your grief. I trust that I speak for all of us in thanking our gracious and generous hosts. George Eretelli, you personally, and Chairman Bakradze, and the staff of the Georgian Parliament have provided such excellent hospitality. We have been impressed in every turn. And the majority of us, we know from hospitality, so it was an exceptional one. It is due to you, due to your Parliament, due to the staff of the Georgian Parliament, and we really thank you. After 3 days of learning more about your country and debating the way forward for the entire OSCE region in economic cooperation, we know this conference has been a real success. A few more thank you are also in order to our professional team of interpreters. Thank you very much indeed. This team has done an excellent job allowing people from Canada to Kazakhstan to discuss and understand one another. Thank you, and to the staff of the International Secretariat for its work to make this conference a reality as well. May Batumi be put the beginning of our heightened focus on economic cooperation. The OSCE's three dimensions, politico-military, economic and environmental, and human rights, are all equal parts of our comprehensive and indivisible security vision. But the economic crisis has rightly refocused our attention on the second dimension. We know the result of prolonged joblessness. We know the unrest that results from severe austerity measures. I'm living it in my own country, and I think we all agree that we have to focus in Monaco. It's Tony Lloyd preparing the resolution that we have to overcome austerity policies. We have to initiate policies for growth and social cohesion. Is the time for a reform in our economic policies. It's the time to rethink our priorities. I hope that Monaco it will be the right moment to express our willingness to have those reforms that are necessary in the economic policies throughout Europe. These days in Batumi have been filled with valuable contributions from governments, parliamentarians, and the private sector to help us achieve our common goals, but to make them most meaningful, we must take the discussions from this week and turn them into concrete plans we can vote on at our annual session and later implement in our own countries. I'm proud of the robust attendance and participation from the OSCE governmental side here in Batumi. This new era of cooperation, on display again here with the presence of several OSCE ambassadors, is a reminder of the needed communication between governments and parliaments. And as I said in my opening address, this cooperation and communication is still not substitute for parliamentary oversight. At home, I hope you will share the knowledge gained here, whether it was your first-hand visit to the streamlined government services at Batumi's Public Service Hall. I have now your passport, George. Thank you. We all have your passport. I am a Georgian citizen then. I hope so. In the public hall, that's for sure. We gain from a discussion of all the sessions. As delegates, I hope you will infuse to our parliaments with hearings and briefings and eventually legislation stemming out from this dialogue. I'm sure that this economic conference in Batumi is a turning point in the way in which we tackle the economic crisis and we enhance the economic cooperation. It's due to our Georgian host, it's due to all of us that we have contributed to this conference. I think that we have to thank again our Georgian colleagues. Thank you. Our next meeting is in Monaco, when I'll deliver my farewell speech. Thank you, my dear colleagues. Thank you.